All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off here. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you for being on the webinar. I'm going to quickly go over some of our, learn a little bit more about filters, filters 101, so to speak. Again, my name's Brett Berger. I've been with ShipWorks about 3.5 years in a variety of different roles. So I'm glad to be here to spend some time with you guys and learn a little bit more about filters. As questions arise, or if you have questions, feel free to key in any questions that you may have, and then at the end we'll take some time for Q&A. So what is a filter? Filters are views or buckets in ShipWorks that allow you to see specific orders based on rules or criteria that you set up. Filters are not required to use the ShipWorks program, so you can still process shipping labels and do what you need to do, most likely without filters. But once you kind of utilize filters and learn a little bit about them, you may find that it becomes the backbone of how you organize your workflow and how you manage your orders in the ShipWorks program. For example, you may have 10,000 orders in your system of historical data, but maybe you want to see all the orders that are unshipped. Maybe you want to see all orders that customers requested expedited shipping, or perhaps you want to see orders going to a specific state or locale, or orders where an item name contains a specific SKU or a specific item name, or maybe you want to combine some of those options together. What it'll do is it'll allow you to define what you want to see, and then it will show you all of the orders that meet that criteria in that particular filter based on how you define it. If you see here, my orders filter at the top that I'm looking at has 43 orders. The orders filter is kind of a catch-all, and it's always going to have a listing of all the historical orders in the system. And then as we kind of scroll down, I can see that I have a not shipped filter here and a shipped filter and some other filters as well. If I click on the filter name, that will conceptually navigate into that filter and allow me to see those groups of orders that are in that filter. So in my not shipped, I've got 16 transactions, and in my shipped, I've got 28. And conveniently, the two of them added up, of course, to the total of 43 orders in this particular example. And so, with 43 orders, finding those transactions may be fairly easy, but as you start to accumulate more history, locating and calling out orders and creating views and buckets for specific groupings of orders becomes pretty key. One thing that's also important to note is that these filters are actually just views, and they don't change anything or do anything to the actual order. So adjusting a filter doesn't change the order's status or an order's value. It's just showing you a different group of orders or a different window into a grouping of orders based on what you tell the program to show you, or that that you wish to see. So it's important to note that filters themselves won't do anything to the order, just showing you a view or grouping of orders. When you initially install the ShipWorks program, it's going to include a couple filters right off the bat: shipped, not shipped, some example filters like that maybe have orders that have taxes, or international orders, or orders that are from today's date. Sometimes those filters may need to be cleaned up initially to get them to show you or explain or show you, what you want to see in that bucket. I want to take kind of a quick look and show you how you access the filter editor and manager and make changes to an existing filter. So if we go into Manage and then Filters, we can get into the Filter Organizer window that lets us access, view, change, adjust, edit any of our existing order filters in the program. So if I go into Manage Filters and do Edit, for example, on my Not Shipped filter, we can view how the filter in this case has been constructed. One thing that's important to note about filters is the name of the filter itself isn't always going to be totally accurate, or isn't always going to necessarily dictate what you see in the filter. Because I could have named this thing, example filter, or whatever I desire, and it may not show me what I think it should show me based on that name. What it's you need to look at are the criteria down here on what's constructed and how the filter is being constructed to show you those groupings of orders. So the name itself may not be accurate, but what you need to do is edit the filter, and if you look at the specific criteria, that's where you can see how this particular filter is constructed and what orders would be included. In this example, we see local status does not equal shipped. Local status is a value or a field or a column in ShipWorks that each order has. It only exists in ShipWorks and basically lets you flag an order as a specific value. Usually it would be shipped or not shipped or back ordered, but it can be used for other things. When an order downloads into ShipWorks by default, that value would be left blank. And when you make a shipping label in ShipWorks by default, that value gets changed to the word shipped. So when you make a label, that local status is going to get changed to the value shipped. So in this case, I'm asking ShipWorks, hey ShipWorks, of those 43 orders, show me all of the orders that have a local status value where it does not equal the word shipped. So everything that's not the word shipped, I'm looking at in this bucket. So if I cancel out of here and close this and look at this bucket, here's my local status column right here. None of them have the value of shipped, and that's why they're in this bucket. If it were shipped, it would not be in this view or in this bucket. Going back to editing it, the ability to create multiple criteria exists. So maybe you need to see where it's not marked as shipped, but it's also over $25 order, or the order total is over $25 as an example. You can click this green plus button to add criteria or the red X to delete criteria as needed. When I hit the green plus button the one time, I get a new filter criteria here, and it shows order total equals 0. Basically what that's showing us is any orders where the local status is not the word shipped and it equals 0. In this case, I want greater than or equal to 25. So I'm going to click on the word equals and change it to be is greater than or equal to and type in 25. And now if I click OK, my shipped is going to change the value of the amount of orders that are in that bucket. Now my not shipped only has 7. Before I think it had 16. It's only showing me orders that have a total that's over $25 or greater than or equal to 25 because I asked the filter, show me everything where it's not the word shipped and the order is greater than or equal to 25. Well, maybe we want to filter even further. Maybe I want to see everything that's not shipped, that's over 25, and my user requested expedited shipping. So I can add another criteria, hit the green plus button, and change it from order total to be order requested shipping. And I can say, show me where it equals, expedited. And if I click OK, instead of seeing 7 orders, now there's only 1. Because of my 43 orders in the system, only 1 does not have the value of shipped, is over $25, and the user requested expedited shipping, as an example. So that will allow you to adjust and filter on almost any specific subsets of criteria or values that you want. So for example, if we wanted to see maybe, as an example, orders that have additional criteria, like maybe we want to also see where it's shipping to Hawaii, or maybe where it's going to a specific locale or a value, we can add criteria here as much as needed and continue adjusting as much as desired. One thing that's interesting to note and that's important to note, very critical about filters, this value here that shows if all of the following conditions are met. This red all is a clickable value and can be changed to all, any, or none. In this case, the default is all. So when this window opens up, it pops up to all, and it chooses that by default, but you can change it. And what does that mean? The all is saying if all of the following conditions are met, that's like an and. So all of them have to be true for the orders to be in this bucket, meaning this has to be true and this one for the order to be in this filter or in this bucket. So all is saying all have to be true, all of them, this and this and this. If I change this to be any, that's like saying or, because any of the following can be true, and that changes this filter totally, right? Because now I'm saying show me where the local status is not shipped, or the order is over $25, or the user requested expedited shipping. So in this case, that value can actually make or break the functionality of the filter, and that's very important. If you notice I changed it to an any, it's got 1 in there right now. It should climb up because there's more than one that have this or this or this. So I hit OK. Now I've got 16. Because of my 43 orders, 16 of them in the system are either not equal to shipped, or they're greater than or equal to 25, or they're equal to the word ship expedited in the requested shipping value. So that red, any, or all can make or break the filter. There's also a none. It's pretty self-explanatory. That's kind of the inverse or the opposite of all. If none of them are true, then none of them can be true for the orders to live or show up or be in that view or that bucket. You may also notice that this button here that shows insert or add branch. Okay, what that's going to allow you to do is to do an and or an or with multiple different levels of criteria. For example, maybe I wanted to see everything where it's not shipped, but the order is over 25, or the requested shipping was expedited. Meaning not this and this, but I could do it and set it up like this. If I get rid of these, I can add a branch, and I can say local status does not equal shipped, and I'm going to do the order total is greater than or equal to 25. I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to say the order requested shipping equals expedited. And I'm going to change this all to an any. So it's saying this has to be true, and either of these two bottom ones can be true, because any of the below conditions can be met for that order to fall in or be in that bucket or that view. So if I do it this way, I'm going to get a different value, I would imagine, than what I was getting before. So now it's showing me not equal to shipped, and it's over 25, or it requested expedited shipping. If I did the any to an all, meaning all of these have to be true, there's only one where it's all three criteria. So the any, all, none, and this add branch allow you to do different criteria and logical conditions and logical branches for ands and ors for the multiple different criteria there. So another thing that you may notice is when you're filtering, you've got all of these different options. Order is usually going to allow you to filter at the order level. So anytime you see a blue underlined or a green underlined, that's a clickable value, and you can click those in your filter editor to make changes to the filter. So if I click on, for example, local status, I get all my different filterable options: number, order number, order date, the order total, requested shipping, local status, entry method, meaning was it a manual order, was it downloaded, and there's a bunch of different options you can filter against. If you want to filter against an address, you would come into the person. Maybe you want to filter on his first name or last name, or city, state, zip, or country, or company name, or email address, etc. If you have multiple stores in the ShipWorks program set up, as many of you do, you can filter on which store instance it is. So if I choose store instance, I'm given a list of all my stores in the program to choose from. If the difference between store instance and store type is, let's say I sold on eBay and I had 3 eBay stores. If I choose store type, it's going to let me choose the type of store. I could pick eBay here. If I choose store instance, it's going to let me pick and choose the specific eBay store in question instead of just showing me all 3 that are eBay or that are that type of store. The counts will allow you to filter or investigate the count or quantity of either line items, total items, notes, or shipments. Line items are, like for example, if an order had a coffee mug and a t-shirt, that has 2 line items. Whereas the the total items is the quantity. So if we had 2 t-shirts, the total items equal to 2, that would be a quantity. Whereas if we had T-shirt and coffee mug, that would be 2 total items, line items. So counts, line items is the different unique pieces, whereas total could be referring to quantity. Notes and shipments are referring to the count of how many notes are in the ShipWorks program, or shipments, like shipping labels that are attached to each order. Then we come down to here that shows contents, and we have for any and for every. This is going to allow you to filter on items, charges, shipments, payments, emails, notes, prints. So like if I wanted to show all the orders where the item name contains the word shirt, I could say for any item, and when I do, I get a new lower green plus that's below this for any item in the order. Once I do that, I get this new lower green plus, and now my filter criteria are looking at order items to filter against. So I can say SKU, I can say order item name or description. In this case, for simplicity, let's just do name. I'm going to change equals to the word contains, so it doesn't need to do an exact match, but it will just see, hey, does the order contain the word, hat? So now, if I look at this filter that I adjusted, here are 3 orders. All 3 of them have at least one item in the order that's hat. If I look down here, here's my red hat. It also has a green tie. If we go back and we edit that order, notice I chose for any item in the order. Well, there's a for every item in the order and a for any. The difference here is that if you choose for any item, then any item in the order can meet that criteria, and it will be in that filter or that bucket. If you do for every, then every single item in the order must meet those criteria for it to show up in this bucket. So I said, hey, show me where any item in the order where the item name contains the word hat. So this one and this one for sure. This one, it does have an item in the order that contains the word hat, right? But not every item in the order contains the word hat, because one of them doesn't. It's green tie. If I go in and I change this guy to be for every item in the order, item name contains the word hat, I should only get 2, because only 2 orders of my 43 have every single item in the order where the item name contains the word hat. This one has green tie, so not every one would be in there. So if I change that to for every hat, I should only have the 2, because every item in the order of these 2 have the word hat, whereas the other one had green tie. So it's important to distinguish the for any versus for every based on, hey, am I trying to check that every item in the order has the word hat, or just at least one item in the order has the word green hat or whatever it is you're searching for. And so if you're not finding something that you're trying to filter for or search for here in one of these, you're probably needing to come down here and choose any item or charge or shipment and start filtering on at that quote-unquote level instead of being at the order level, so to speak. So items are order items, name, SKU, quantity, price. Charge is a order charge, like taxes or insurance or shipping, what you charged to your customer. So if you wanted to see all orders that have shipping charge greater than 0, you could say for any charge, the charge amount or name description equals the word, shipping, and it's greater than 1 or 0 or whatever. Charges looks at order charges. Shipment looks at shipments or labels or shipping labels attached to the order in the program. So if I wanted to search on tracking number, I would do for any shipment in the order, the tracking number, begins with 1Z or something. I don't know, silly example, 1Z. Okay, there's none. Maybe I wanted to search by the process date, the date I made the label, or which carrier, which provider it is, or which service method. So maybe I want to see, show me all where we did FedEx, service method is ground. Any shipment or label in the order is FedEx ground. There's one. One where I made a label that was ground way back when, and I voided it since then. So that's showing you things at the shipment level, so to speak. If I come in and do payment, that's it's pretty self-explanatory. Those are payments like a credit card payment, or if those types of details are coming into the software, then you can filter on those as well. Email is an email notification or message that ShipWorks has sent out. Those are all logged and tracked. So if you want to filter on, hey, show me all the orders where I sent XYZ via email to the customer, you can filter on that using that. Same thing with print jobs. So anytime ShipWorks prints a report, print out a packing slip, an invoice, label, any of that stuff, that's all also logged and can be filtered on. Maybe you want to find all the orders where you printed the packing slip blue template report this afternoon. You know, you can filter on that information and find those orders in a quick glance using the filter. Notes are also similar to that. It's filtering on a note in the ShipWorks program. So you can say, hey, show me where the note text, or notes over here, note text contains the word expedited shipping or customer called or something like that that maybe you're searching for within the context of a note. So I also want to kind of quickly introduce folders in addition to filters. Folders are, for the most part, pretty self-explanatory. They're just like a folder in Windows to a certain extent. So it can allow you to organize your filters. So maybe I want to make, Brett's list or whatever, next, finish. And if I wanted, I could move this, drag and drop to move that thing here, drag and drop to move that one into that filter. And now it's in my Brett's list folder. So when I close this out, I should get my Brett's list, and now they're moved into that. In this case, it's just an organization tool to put things in. But you can take it one step further and use that filter to also restrict the contents of that folder, to restrict contents of the filter inside of it. Like, for example, let's say I have a 3D cart web-based web store that's 3D cart-based. There's 15 total orders that come in from the system. One of them is marked as expedited, and 2 of them is marked as shipped. If I go in here and I edit these filters and look at what they're doing, nowhere in here is it showing me, only show me orders from my 3D cart store. If I edit the folder itself, that's where the folder is restricting conditions of anything that lives inside of it. So here I'm saying store equals the 3D cart test store. So any filter that's inside of this folder or this bucket will automatically, invisibly, have this applied to it because it's inside of that folder. So shipped, expedited, all orders, I didn't need to include store equals 3D cart, store equals 3D cart, store equals 3D for all 3 of those, because it's inside of the folder that's already restricting any filter inside of it to that criteria. Hopefully that makes sense. Basically, it allows you to share that setting or that filter criteria against any folders that live in there. So I wouldn't need to edit this one and add this, and edit this one and then add it, and then edit the third one and add it, because they are all inside of that bucket. If I were to go in and move one of those out of that bucket, it's no longer living in that bucket, and so its contents are going to change. So if I do all orders and I move it all the way up to the regular one, now there's 43, because there's 43 all orders in the system. If I move it back down inside of the 3D cart one, it's only going to do all orders for 3D cart because it lives inside of that bucket or that filter. And that bucket or that filter is limiting the criteria of anything that lives inside. So that'll save you from having to include multiple criteria on a single filter for ones that have similar settings. We quickly went over and kind of glossed over changing and rearranging and whatnot, but you can rename filters and folders as desired. You can move them up or down by dragging them in this window, moving them around as much as needed. Hopefully that all makes pretty good sense. I want to open up the floor here for any questions. If you give me just a minute, I'll enable audio control. Hang on one sec. If there are any questions at this time, if we could have maybe you guys type them into the GoToWebinar interface there that you have, and I can do my best to answer any questions that we may have at this time. Well, if there's no questions, it doesn't look like we're getting any questions coming in right now. If there's no questions, we will most likely be posting this online as a kind of a how-to or a tutorial. Hang on one sec. It looks like we've got maybe some questions coming in now. So the question is basically saying, how come when they cancel an order in ShipWorks, it does not automatically, I'm assuming, fall out of the not shipped or shipped bucket? And that's a great question. If you want the bucket to only show you stuff that's not the value of canceled, then you have to update the bucket to show you that. So like, for example, if my not shipped So if, for example, my not shipped was for order local status does not equal shipped, I'm only telling this bucket or this filter to show me the stuff that's not equal to the word shipped. And none of these equal the word shipped. So it's showing me what I want to see. If we change the status to be canceled, it's still not the word shipped. I told the bucket only to show me stuff that does not equal the word shipped. So if you edit that filter and add in another criteria where local status also does not equal canceled, it would fall out of that bucket in that regard or in that fashion. So if I change it that way, and remember I'm doing all, so this has to be true and this has to be true. So local status can't be shipped and it cannot be canceled. If I do it that way, and I did mark that guy as canceled over here, it will now fall out of the bucket and I'll only have 15 instead of 16. And that one is no longer in the bucket. So the buckets themselves are only as intelligent as you make them be. They're only going to show you what they're defined to show. And so if they're not specifically calling out or excluding or including canceled orders, when you mark an order as canceled, if that filter's not checking on that, it's not going to show you that change or that difference. There was another question, it's a little bit off topic, about processing a FedEx return. It's certainly not filter related, but it's really pretty simple to do. When you come in and process using FedEx, there's an option down here to do a return shipment and choose how to print or to email the return shipping label to the customer. There was another question that says, how do you get the items in shipment boxes at the bottom? These are the panels down here. By default, what you're looking at here is the default view, but it's easy to come in here, move that thing off, close all those things. And if you do, then they may be gone. And if they're gone, the easiest way to get them back, up at the top, you go View and choose Reset, and reset the ribbons and panels. That'll reset all of the ribbons and panels to the default view. So if I hit reset, it brings them all back. Or I can hit this show panels and make them display one at a time. Easiest way is to reset it. Sometimes they'll get dragged off the screen. You may not be able to see them. And if that's the case, if you're trying to turn them on and you can't get it, you may just want to do this reset to reset the view. And if I click down here, I can see the different components or the different values inside each panel there. So thank you again for the questions, and thank you guys all for being here. Again, my name's Brett. I'm with ShipWorks. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. As mentioned, we'll probably be posting this online as a resource to refer to in the future. But again, thank you all for being ShipWorks customers and taking the time to be on the webinar. We greatly appreciate everybody's business and your guys' time. You guys have a great day.